This happened when my friend James and I stayed up all night watching scary movies. Hi, I'm Katie, and this is the imaginary killer. For context, James and I were best friends since kindergarten. So let's just say we know each other pretty well. And usually when we watch scary movies, James will get all scared. And then he'll hide under a blanket until the end of the movie. But this time was different, because this time he was really scared. Like he thought that the killer from the movie was actually in our house. It all started after we finished our third movie of the night, which was the scariest one. It was called Demons, and it was about a demon who comes out of a mirror and kills everyone in the house. The movie ended with the main character stabbing the demon in the eye with a pair of scissors. But throughout the whole movie, James kept screaming, "Oh my God, he's coming out! He's coming out!" And then when the movie was over, he didn't even want to turn the lights off. And I was like, dude, it's just a movie. You can turn the lights off. But he was like, no. I don't want the demons to attack me while I'm sleeping. And then he locked his bedroom door and turned off the light, and everything was fine for like the first hour. But then we heard a creak in the floorboard. It was slow and suspenseful with a few jump scares. And it went like this. There was a loud crash, and then my heart started beating fast, and I froze. Because I thought, it was the killer from the movie. But then when I looked around, there was nothing there. Then I started to feel a little bit scared. So I walked to the kitchen to grab some water. As I walked to the kitchen, I heard the creak again. It was coming from behind me. So I slowly turned around and scanned the area, and there was nothing there. Then I sighed and continued to the kitchen. As I filled up my glass of water, I could have sworn I saw the shadow of the demon in the corner of my eye. But when I turned around, there was nothing there. After I drank my water, I walked back to the living room where James was sitting on the couch. But then I noticed that he wasn't there. And I was like, huh? Then I realized that he disappeared. I started to panic because I couldn't find him anywhere. Then I looked on the couch and I saw his phone. It was still on, so I quickly picked it up and turned the lights off and waited for him. But then I heard a loud bang from upstairs, and I was like, James, is that you? But then I didn't hear anything. Then I started to get really scared. So I walked up the stairs very slowly, and as I reached the top of the stairs, I turned my flashlight on, and I saw the most horrifying thing ever. My friend James was standing in front of me holding a large kitchen knife, and he had a crazed look on his face, and he was whispering. He said, "The killer is in here. The killer is in here." And then I screamed. And I quickly stepped back and fell down the stairs. Then James ran to me and asked if I was okay, and I nodded because I was in shock. Then I stood up and brushed myself off, and I was about to speak. But then I heard a loud scratch at James's bedroom door. We both spun around and stared at the door in suspense. Then I heard the scratching again, and it sounded like this. Then we both laughed because it was just a cat. And I quickly walked away. Then, as I was walking, I tripped over James's jacket, and I fell into him, and we both fell down the stairs. Then his knife flew out of his hand and landed on the ground with a clatter. Then we started to head back downstairs until we heard another creak in the floorboard. We both turned around and we saw another James standing in the doorway, and he had an empty smile on his face. Then we heard a loud crash from upstairs, and we both looked up in suspense. Then we heard another crash, and this time, it was followed by a maniacal laugh. And it went like this. Then we looked at each other, and we burst into laughter. Then we started to walk downstairs again. But this time, we walked past the killer. We didn't see him because it was too dark. Then, as I turned the corner, I gasped because the last thing I saw before the screen went black was an empty smile.
The killer was right in front of us.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!